Good morning, friends. It is April the 17th. It's Friday. And we are finishing up our fourth week. Fourth week in this lovely setting. And I think I looked yesterday. I've recorded my 50th YouTube video through all of my classes. So it has been an adventure for sure. So I hope you are doing well. Again, I can't stress it enough. Please reach out if you have questions. As a teachers, we're seeing a decline in students completing work. So across the board, across campus. So please stick with us. We are almost there. And you guys are doing, seem to be doing great based on your quiz scores. And not many people are, I don't have people reaching out to me, but I'm assuming you're doing okay. So I always am making sure to look to see that you're logging into Blackboard, and the video views are not a whole lot. So some of you guys are not not watching the videos, which whatever, to each his own, but you're never going to see it because you're not going to watch it. So anyway, that's beside the point. Okay, so we're going to jump back into solving logs and exponentials today, 4.5. And with this, again, I want to bring back this first sheet from our section. And the ones that we're going to use today, we're going to use this first one right here. And we're going to condense. So that means that we're going to condense addition, subtraction back to division. We're going to condense addition back to multiplication. So we're going to use that today. And then we're going to come down here to the bottom, and we're going to use these two ideas to solve logs. So the first one is right over here on the right, and this is if we have a single log on one side, we can change it to an exponential to solve it. Okay. Now, if we have logs going on both sides, then if we can get it set to a single log equal to a single log, so this is where we'll have to condense it, maybe we can drop the logs and set the insides equal to each other and solve. Okay, and again, this also works for natural log. Okay, so I want to jump to, let's see. Not sure why I have that page in there, but we're just going to scroll. Oh, I want right here. Okay. So this is where we ended on Friday, or this is where we ended on Wednesday. So this is where we want to jump in on Friday. Yeah. Okay. I'm with you. So here, when you have a log, if you have a single log on one side, okay, so in the right-hand side, I did some purple writing. Because a single log on one side, you want to change to an exponential. And remember, because there's not a base there, it's an understood base 10. So we can go 10 to the third. So base raised to the outside is equal to the inside. So 10 to the third is equal to 9x plus 1. Then we can just solve it as a linear equation. We can get x is equal to 111. Now, here's a note at the bottom. Solving logs sometimes creates extra solutions. So please plug back into the original problem to see if it works. So you definitely want to plug back into the original to make sure it works. Okay. So if you take log of 1,000, is that equal to 3? And yes. Okay, it is equal to 3. So your solution is x is equal to 111. So again, let's just plug it back in and see if it works. Now, if you'll notice here, we have logs going on one side. And because there's logs going on one side, we can condense them into a single log. So again, it's separated by addition. So condense it back with multiplication. So I have a single log on one side. So then I can do the same idea as change it to an exponential. And then once I change it to an exponential, get everything to one side, and I have something that's quadratic. And remember, at this point, once you have something that's quadratic, you can solve it by factoring, solve it by completing the square, or solve it by the quadratic formula. Any of those are going to work. So this one would factor. Now, here's the thing, and this is for sure when you condense. Okay, if you condense, you're always usually guaranteed 99% of the time that you're going to get an extra solution. So here's a case where we do. Okay, so on the right-hand side, okay, let me kind of make this. On the right-hand side is the check work. So plugging -9 in. So remember, when we first started talking about logs, one of the things I said was you can't take the log or the natural log of a negative number. Okay, and if you try to put if you try to take the log of a negative number in your calculator, you should get an error. So that right there tells you something. So because this is a negative, a negative number, that means -9 cannot be a solution. Now, when we plug in 3, we end up getting, okay, a solution that works. Okay, so if the base is the same as what you're taking the log of, remember that's equal to 1. 3 to what power is 9? So 3 squared is what gives me 9. So that's where the 2 is coming from. And then that does equal to 3. So 3 works. Okay, -9 does not work. Okay, the last two problems are if you have logs going on both sides. Okay, our goal here is to use our formula that says if I have a log equal to a log, I want to drop the logs and set the inside equal to each other. But that's a single log on one side and a single log on the other side. So here we have to condense first because of this addition sign. I have to condense first and then I can drop the logs. So condense first, then drop your logs, and then you're ready to solving a quadratic. Okay, combine like factor, multiply, combine like terms, and then refactor. So I can take a 2 out, and then I can factor to x plus 10, x plus 5. So I get -10 and -5, but again, if you condense, check your work. And what we find out is -10 does not work because, again, you cannot take the log of a negative number. So -5 is your only solution. And it's not just a negative number to start with. It's once you plug it back into the problem, can you take the log of a negative number? Because when I plug in -5, I end up getting positive numbers down here. Okay, and then the last one, again, remember this does work for natural logs. The rule works for natural logs also, so you want to condense first. So addition goes back to multiplication, and then you want to drop your logs. So drop your natural logs, and then you want to multiply, get everything to one side. So I have 2x squared minus 5x minus 12, and then I want to multiply, divide, and slide to factor that. So I get x minus 4, 2x plus 3. So I get 4 and -3/2. And again, you've got to plug in if you condense. Okay, and what we find is 4 does work, but -3/2 does not work. And it's not because it's negative, it's because when I plug it back in, I end up getting some negative numbers. Okay, so solving logs, make sure you look at those. You do have a quiz today. 4.5 quiz is on WebAssign. So it's due tomorrow, Saturday, April the 18th by midnight. So next week we will be finishing up our chapter. We'll be moving into chapter 6. So chapter 4 and chapter 6 we'll look at together. Chapter 6 is solving systems of equations. So we'll look at those. So if you do have questions, please reach out and make sure you get your quiz done. And I hope you have a